Good morning, Hope. We are live.
Good
Thank you.
morning.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So for all my friends watching, this is Hope Bowie. She is a fellow Dallas fitness pro, but you are also a business owner, a Les Mills presenter, your wife and a mom, so you wear a lot of hats. And, just so people know, this interview has been scheduled for weeks. And we're going to talk about some really heavy and important topics today. And I don't think it's a coincidence we're talking today. And I'm so grateful for you. From afar, I've admired your honesty, your authenticity, your great smile, which lights up every stage that you teach on, and now our screen. So thank you for being here. And I just want to start off and say we are going to talk about some messages that you've been sharing for quite a while on how everyone has unique giftings and talents, and there's space for everyone. And then we're going to dive into talking about racial healing and racial unity that we all can see needs to happen. And I want to just listen. I just want to listen to you and what you have to say on that. So if you wouldn't mind, can you give everyone a brief overview of who you are, what you do, your family, etc.?
All right. My name is Hope. I was born, raised, and have never left Dallas, Texas. When I say that, literally, I went to college here and I have never left. Quick rundown of my family: one husband, two daughters, one son-in-law, one grandson, and one four-legged son. As of my career, I actually spent 17 years in corporate America in different roles in accounting and finance. 6 years within that, I picked up fitness, being a Group X instructor. And then another 6 years later, I became a certified personal trainer. And then another 5 years after that, on October 20th, 2017, my job had a layoff. And instead of really pursuing another position with my company, I decided that was the moment where I needed to say goodbye to corporate America and just venture out on my own and make fitness a full-time thing. It was a tremendous leap of faith. It has not been easy, but I don't look back. I have no regrets.
That's awesome. I actually didn't know that. I didn't know you came from corporate America and you had a career before your fitness career. That's awesome. So
a lot of people don't, it's funny because a lot of people see the fitness side of me, and purposely I kept the corporate side corporate and private. Like, I don't believe in having coworkers on my social media accounts, and I did not friend them until I stopped working at my job. So I kept those two things completely separate.
Yeah, I totally get that. So fitness is what unites you and I, which is awesome. And so I want to hear about what is your why behind what you do and your passion for fitness. What is your why?
It really depends on, I have a couple of different ones. Like, if I'm in front of kids, it's about to get them to just move. Not necessarily even about a certain type of exercise. I just want them to move and to fall in love with just movement. If it's, if I'm within my own community, it's about, let's fight against the things that really affect us. Diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, heart attacks. Let's face that and let's focus on that. If I'm talking to stay-at-home mom, hey, let's spend a little bit of your time. It might be one time a week. It might be, a couple times within the week where you get to focus on yourself and you get to block everything out. You know what I'm saying? So yes. To pull that together. For me, my why is to help people just be a little bit better. And I do that by meeting them exactly where they are at any point in time.
That is what I love about you, Hope, and that's why you're here talking to me. Because we all want to get better, and so let's dive into 2020. It's been a rough year for many people, starting with the pandemic, which affected pretty much everyone at some level. And you were really open and honest about how, as a business owner, it affected you. And so, and that's one thing I admire about you is your openness and honesty with struggles. And so if we could just take a moment to talk about the struggles that started off earlier in the year, and then we'll, in chronological order, talk about the most recent struggles.
Okay, I'm just to sum it up in a really quick nutshell. I found myself at mid-March and the end of March with nothing. I had no class to teach. I had nowhere to train anybody. It was just, I went from going 1,000 miles an hour to zero. And for the first couple of weeks of the pandemic and being at home, you know, it was like, you know what, I'm finally getting some rest. I finally get to see my family. I don't have to worry about any choreography. I don't have to worry about, you know, going to the gym. I don't have to worry about that commute. And it was pretty nice. And then it got to a point. So a little bit of background about the people that I live with right now. My younger daughter is a gymnast. And I took on the mantle of being her coach by looking at YouTube videos. So I was coaching her every day, several hours a day. And I was seeing her progress with her gym being closed. My husband works full-time, but he's also working on his master's. And so I see him progressing towards something. And then there's me. And I'm just sitting here like really dead in the water, trying different things and not really being settled at what I want and how to really successfully pivot in this, you know, climate. And then it just all went to mentally, I went to a place of, I feel like I'm not good enough. You know, I don't know what to do. And with all the gyms, I'm gonna keep it real. I feel like I had been abandoned. I felt like a number. I really started going to that really deep, dark place until I had to get to a point where, Hope, listen, sis, get it together. You are incredibly talented. You know how to pivot better than anybody else because you walked away from a whole job, a whole career, and you had to pivot then, and you're able to do it again. And so I had to pick myself up. I had to stop feeling sorry for myself. And from there, I've been on a different trajectory since then.
And so what is your message for people who are still feeling that, whether it's because of the pandemic or, you know, we'll get to talking about the racial fractions that are really come to a head right now. But either way, people are feeling, you know, beat down, like they're not good enough. What do you say to those people in this moment?
I said this on my page about a month ago or a couple weeks ago. No, it hasn't been a month. I think I said it on May 15th, that there are many people, even in the industry that I'm in, there are a gazillion personal trainers and business owners in fitness. And this really goes for any, you know, industry that you're in. At the end of the day, there's only one you. You know, there is no one like you. There's something that you bring that no one else can bring. There's someone out there that has been looking and searching for somebody to reach them and to help them. And you might be that person. And it's one of those things where I found that out where, you know, people are naturally drawn to me. I haven't quite figured out why. But
I know why.
It's one of the things where people, but it's funny because the people that have really reached out to me during this pandemic are people who I have maybe met once in their lives, like 6, 7, 8 years ago, or we may have had an interaction on Facebook or Instagram, and they have come to me looking at me for help because I have been completely honest about this whole entire situation. And is everything, you know, going well? Yes. Could it be better? Yes. Am I going to give up? No. But it's one of those things where you just have to keep believing it in yourself. You can't worry about what everybody thinks. You can't sit up there and wait for the moment. You have to seize the moment, because if you wait for it, somebody's going to snatch it away from you. And then you're going to be like, what if?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And so we just talked about, my next question was, once you get that self-belief back in yourself and your talents and your abilities, the next step is to act on it. And so what did you do to act on it once you had that self-belief back?
So the pivot became something that I always sat in the back of my mind, and I never really executed it. I started doing virtual personal training. I realized I love doing live classes. I love doing the virtual classes, but there is something about that one-on-one interaction and really seeing people thrive on an individual basis. That piece was what was missing and the whole puzzle for me. And it's been a success, and it was something that I was just going to do for the short term. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep this forever. I'm still going to bring back live personal training. But for right now, with a lot of people being like, I'm not feeling comfortable with going back to the gym, or gyms straight up still being closed, you know, it's an option.
That's great. Thank you so much for your honesty. I think that's one reason why you're so approachable and people connect to you, is because can you hear me? Test, test. Am I back? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Sorry, we lost.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you.
Okay.
So we lost each other for a second. But this is a good point to turn to. We're going to talk about uniqueness, and there's only one you, but we're going to talk about it in the context of race, because that is the second big hard thing of 2020. And so Hope, I approach our conversation, our friendship like this. There's only one you, there's only one me. You have experiences that I don't have. And today I just want to listen in humility. I want to learn from you. And we both know from sports and athletics and coaching, fitness, that we don't grow in comfort zones. In fact, when we get out of our comfort zone, that is where the most growth and strength can come from. And so if anyone's watching right now or listening, and if this is uncomfortable, stay in it. Stay in this feeling of uncomfort if it is uncomfortable, because the opportunity for growth is exponential. And beyond that, Hope, I'm just going to listen. And I'm grateful for your voice. So my first question is, because of social media and smartphones, we are starting to see the horrific deaths. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, there's no video of her situation, but it's pretty clear what happened. George Floyd, absolutely heartbreaking for everyone. And I know that this is just kind of the tipping point. I want to hear from you. Why is it important for us as a community to not ignore what we're seeing and to not ignore the voices and the messages coming out of the Black community?
It's funny because when you originally wrote this question, a lot of other things have happened since then. So I'm going to answer it this way. We're at the point where it can't be ignored. With social media, with people that we know that's been attending these protests, one exactly in my backyard yesterday. It's gone from the point of where we can't ignore it to the point that we can't forget it. And listen, it's not going to be forgotten until those 3 police officers that were also there, and I understand they were non-white. They also need to be held accountable beyond being fired. I'm just going to keep it real. And we need to see justice being served, because that message has got to be sent. I put a link on Sunday, I believe, from Michael Harriot, and it was just a brief snapshot of how we got here. And it wasn't necessarily the beginning from 1619, but it was over the last 5 or 6 years where we've had unarmed Black people, men and women, being brutally murdered, either in the hands of police or other white people. And the trend in all those cases literally were this person, there were no charges either brought apart, or those charges were literally acquitted. And that's not right. That's absolutely not right. And I get it. And people say, the media can be manipulative, but dang it. You know what I'm saying? There are so many angles that we've seen from this case with George Floyd. And a lot of them I saw on Twitter before they hit, mainstream. And it's just kind of like, what is it going to take? It's like literally when was Ahmaud? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago? And we were still reeling from that. And then now we are exposed to this. And like I said, we are at the point where we cannot ignore it. It's not going to be forgotten until justice is served. And if justice ain't served, you're not going to forget it.
I agree, Hope. And I read that link that you posted about the history. And that's one thing that, I've been trying to do is educate myself on the history leading up to this point, because it's not just the past months. What I'm learning is it's the past decades and centuries. And so thank you for mentioning that. So as your white friend, I'm just going to honestly ask you, what have I maybe missed that you'd really like me to understand?
You can have, and I'm just going to say non-blacks here. I'm just going to say, I'm going to keep it real. You can have all the sympathy and empathy that you can have all day long. But, and I'm reflecting back to me, and I can tell my story better than anybody else. There is a hurt, an aching, a frustration, the trauma, the pain, the sadness, the sleepless nights that people who are non-Black could never feel. The racism that I have felt from a very young age. I had a teacher lock me up in the closet in first grade because of what I look like. I was 8 years old the first time I was called the N-word because of what I look like. I was the smartest kid in my class until I had several teachers alter my grades because of what I look like. And all of this happened within a span of the first 10, 11 years of my life. I carry that pain and I carry that trauma right now to this day. And I have a birthday at the end of this month. I'll be 43 years old. And I still carry that. It doesn't go away ever. And it's still moments. And I was thinking about all this last night. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. And it's just one of those things that as a Black person, and especially as a Black woman, I have to live with this crap. And it hurts and it's painful. And it pisses me off when people try to tell me not to be angry, or even to the point where, white women, I'm gonna be very particular here. When a white woman hops on my post and they're like, don't be angry about this and don't be angry about that. First of all, don't tell me how to feel. And second of all, if I am angry, it's not your business. Let me be angry. Don't tell me. So it's one of those things where I'm constantly told, how to feel and how to be. And, and if I want to reflect this back on fitness, I'm gonna bring an excellent example. Even when I made, the Les Mills tap team, there were people saying that I only made the tap team because of what I look like, totally discounting my skills. Totally discounting everything. And it's just all of that pain. And this is what you're seeing right now. And that's why Black people are so angry, because this is what we've had to sit in, and this is what we've had to stew in for so long, because we've had to work much harder than our white counterparts to get to where we are right now. And we also have to fight those stereotypes of Black people being lazy, Black people being on welfare, Black people being ignorant, Black people being uneducated. But here I am as an educated Black woman. I got 2 degrees. You know, I've pivoted from social, you know, from corporate America, and I have my own business, and people still look at me as less. You know, and sometimes I'm like, you know, what the hell do I have to do to prove to these people that I'm worth it? You know, what the hell do I have to do to you know, to get these people to understand that I'm more than this skin color? I sit in it and I love it, but there's a lot of pain, and I'm gonna say it's a lot of PTSD being a Black person in America right now, and it's always been there. And that is the part that I just want non-Black white counterparts to understand. There is a pain and a hurt and a feeling of walking around being a Black person that you can't ever understand.
Yep. And that's something I said to you yesterday as we were getting ready for today is, you know, I don't understand. I haven't walked your shoes, but I think what I can do, and you tell me, you know, the first step is listening and listening with an open heart, open mind, and in humility. And so from your point of view, you know, what are some things that I can do, that our communities can do? I don't know what community you want to speak to, but because there's many communities and it's a complex issue and complex solutions, right? So how can we bridge the gap though? What are some ways that we can bridge this gap?
I could say, I'll give you one good way. If you see your counterparts saying racist things or doing racist things, it's beyond words on your own platform. Take action and call them out on that crap. You know, it's time out of, you know, sitting back and letting people say whatever the hell they want. And you know it's hateful, and a lot of people are afraid of their brand. It's time out for that. Do what's right. Be a decent person and call them out for that mess. And it even extends to your own family members. If they're being racist, especially in front of your children, call them out. Call them out. And if they don't want to change, guess what? Cut them out.
Yeah, I agree. And then recently you posted on social media that you had some ideas for, you know, the Black community coming together to work together. And I was just curious as to, you know, what ideas you have with that approach as well. And I loved your message of coming together and working together through this.
The issue we have right now in the Black community, the main issue, especially right now, is actually being able to come together. You have all of these peaceful protests where we are trying to come together, but you have these opportunists and you have these people that are infiltrating far left and far right. I'm gonna call them all out, you know, because a lot of people are like, it's far left, it's this, it's that. But now, it's all up. And so we got to take politics out this thing and call it like it is. You know, they're disrupting things. They have the same goal. And so what's happening right now is we've got to come together. We have to stay focused. If what we want is justice, we got to stick together and we got to get that. And, you know, I'll step out there and say this, you know, there's a lot of people in the Black community that feel a certain way about things being escalated in terms of rioting and looting. I don't like it, but I understand it, you know, and I'm frustrated because a lot of people are focused more on the rioting and the looting. The truth is, you can rebuild things. We can get GoFundMe's together and build things and raise money. We can go out there ourselves and rebuild these businesses brick by brick. George Floyd ain't coming back. You know, Botham Jean ain't coming back. You know, and I feel like people are getting so caught up in these, like, again, I don't condone it, but I understand it. You know what I'm saying? But people are getting caught up in the wrong things. And that's what's so frustrating to me. I'm like, y'all, Black bodies are falling out in the streets. we're trying to get to a solution to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick together,
mm-hmm.
and let's make sure the right things happen so all this will stop.
Yep, absolutely. So let's, we have a few minutes left. Let's zero in on the fitness and sports industry, because that's where we play most of our time. How can we, in the sports fitness industries, be unifiers in our industries and what we do?
I think one of the worst phrases that I've seen over and over, and I've actually responded back to people who said this, 4 words: I don't see color. Number one, it's a deflection. Number 2, it's erasure for people like me. Number 3, you can't help but to see color when you see me. Let's be real. And number 4, it ends up being a way where people can hide behind their racism when they say that. You know, unity is not necessarily about sameness. It's about togetherness. It's all about recognizing that we are different. I am a Black woman. I'm a proud Black woman. You know, there are things in my heritage that I'm proud of, and there are things that I want you to recognize. Don't erase that. You know, and there are some things about you. I'm going to respect you, and I'm going to respect your differences, you know, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And it can be done. And I feel like a lot of people, non-Blacks, are doing a disservice to their children by pushing that narrative of I don't see color. Because what happens is these kids become grown-ups. These grown-ups become, you know, owners. They become general managers. They become head coaches of sports teams, football teams, basketball teams, soccer teams, everywhere. And when you have an issue like this, where, for example, the NFL, 70% Black players, NBA, probably around the same, you know, percentage. College football, college basketball, same thing. You have a lot of people that have said nothing. When you have these young men and young women who are looking up, not necessarily just Black, but all colors, for some help. You know, maybe they can't go to their parents to ask about, you know, being unified or this whole situation. And they're looking to their coaches, you know, but it's so frustrating to see so many people who have these huge platforms and in this position of power say nothing or put together a very tone deaf message because they don't see color.
And
that's included in the fitness industry. Hold on. Because the second part of this is the fitness industry, and I ain't gonna leave them out. There have been some businesses that have stepped up and they have said some outstanding messages. And there have been some that are still silent. I see you. And it makes me look at them personally very differently, because I feel like I don't know if they're more worried about the brand and the image, which they probably are. Or do they really care about people that look like me? Do they care for really, you know, instituting some change? So I'm sitting back and looking at the industry, fitness and sports, and I'm actually calling them out. You know, like there's only a few that have stepped up and done outstanding things, and they said messages, and there's only a few from that have actually put a plan together or asked people, hey, what can we do to bridge the gap? But there's so many that are sitting back silent because they're afraid of their brand being damaged. And honestly, that's sad.
It is sad. And so what is your hope for the future? You know, seeing where we're at right now, what is your hope for the future? Hope. I think we've got it. I think she's frozen. Well, if we get the connection back, I'm going to so look forward to hearing that question. Let's wait a few seconds to see if it comes back. She might have to drop out and then she's going to rejoin. So let's see if she can rejoin. But she's going to rejoin in a couple of seconds. But basically what I'm hearing her say is, from my point of view, is that, you know, the foundation of seeing everyone equally, that is an amazing foundation to start with, but it's not quite enough, because we need to, from my point of view, recognize differences and different experiences and listen and hear and lament and mourn with what has been going on. And then we can be at a place where we can say, let's bridge the gap, let's work together, let's bring unity to the situation we find ourselves in. So I'd love to hear your guys' comments and your thoughts on this. This has been on my heart for a really long time, and I'm really hoping help can join in, because yay, she's back. Okay, so let me add her back in. Yay, you're back.
That last part, AT&T probably heard me.
So I was asking. I kind of rephrased or summarized what I hear you saying, and I've got one more question for you before we head into our speed round of questions at the very end. What is your hope for the future?
Man, you know, it's one of those things where fantasy and reality. You know, my fantasy is I just want us all to love each other. I want to look past. I want all these racial barriers to fall. I'm gonna be honest. The one thing I love about group fitness is I walk in a room and I'm in front of all these people that look different, you know, and the same. And we don't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want. But I want that when I go to Walmart, and I want that when I go, when I drop my daughter off at school, and I want that wherever I go. But unfortunately, I feel like that's a fantasy. And on the reality level, I just want things to get better. You know, I mean, going back to George Floyd, I just want justice to be served. I don't want his death to be in vain. I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to hold up a sign. I don't want to have to sit down and have this conversation with my daughter again. I don't want to feel like this anymore. You know, and I don't want anybody else to have this feeling. It's not fair. You know?
I totally agree. And, we want the same things. We want unity. We want everyone to flourish. We want everyone to be lifted up. And that's why this conversation of going through the hard stuff, looking at where we are honestly, not ignoring the pain, the trauma. You have to go through the hard to get to the good.
Right.
And so I just thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your willingness to come on and share your experiences with me and the people listening.
I'll say this. You're welcome. Number one. Number two, I was never going to turn down this opportunity. And number three, there are a lot of people out there that would have never done this because they're afraid of damaging their brand. I am willing to stand in it. And if any repercussions come from this, this is a risk that I take. But then breathing in America is a risk I also take. So I feel like this is worth it to be on this platform and to actually tell my truth, because at the end of the day, it is mine. Nobody else can take that away. This is my burden. This is also, my success. But it's one of those things where, yes, I am taking a big risk being on here. And if someone to do this, I would do this again all the time with no regrets.
Thank you. I feel the same way. I feel the same way, and I'm just so grateful for this opportunity, really. And so now, in a really, I think both of us hope that this is a turning point in our nation's history, that it's a turning point for hearts around the country, and that we will look back at this moment in time and know that this changed the course of the future generations. That's my hope and my prayer. So let's, okay.
I'm just one voice. So there are many other voices out there. So don't just lean on me. If you see someone else speaking, listen to them. Hear what they say. They may have a totally different narrative than me, but we're all fighting for the same things. We all want the same things.
I love that you added that, because I agree. Everyone's got different experiences, and there's a place for everyone at the table. So
correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so speed round of questions. This part is
all right.
I'm going to throw out a few questions. You answer the first thing that comes to your mind. And okay, so
all right.
Because you are in the Les Mills world, you're a presenter. What's your favorite Les Mills workout?
Ironically, it's Body Flow 76. That's
really
my favorite thing to do. Let me tell you, it is to me. I don't know how the certified instructors feel about it, but to me, it is top to bottom perfection. I love it. I do that release. Sometimes I do just the flexibility part, but I actually stopped down and did that whole release in its entirety last week, and it put me in a different space, and that's been a savior for me right now when I'm feeling down. And it's not necessarily for what's going on current events, but just when I'm feeling blue and I'm not feeling right, I'll just turn on some Body Flow 76, and I come out of it. I might cry a little bit, but I feel free. I feel brand new when I'm done with that.
I'm going to put that on my list because I haven't done it. Okay.
It's amazing.
I know you've been adding in some grit, which we do grit in my workout group.
Yeah.
Favorite grit move?
The break.
Is this a trick question?
That's the breaks.
The water break.
That's my favorite grit move. Yeah, the water break.
Hey, I don't think you're alone in that.
No.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, favorite post-workout food or drink?
Shaved ice. Banana.
Awesome. What do you like to do on a free weekend?
I'm not a binge watching person because, again, I'm always, even now, everything's picking up. I'm on the go. I just want to sit right now. My thing is just sitting in my backyard, no matter what the temperature is, and just chilling.
Yeah.
Listening to the sounds of nature. I'll have my phone in my hand, or, my husband come outside every once in a while and check on me, and we'll chat a little bit. Yeah. My dog hangs out with me, and I just love that. It's a great way to escape from reality without leaving your own home.
Yeah. Love it. What are you most proud of, Hope?
That's actually a trick question. There's a lot of things I'm proud of. I'm proud of sitting here right now and telling my truth and being completely unbothered by any fallout. I mean, that's where I am right now. That is the exact headspace that I am, because I have had situations where, opportunities have been taken away from me from something I said, and I have ended up being on the better side of it. I've always been taken care of. So I'm confident if someone feels a certain kind of way about anything I said on this live, that I will still be taken care of. God takes care of his kids.
Amen. Amen. What brings you the most happiness? Last one.
Right now, what brings me the most happiness is seeing everybody in my house and in my family just happy. you know, especially right now with what's going on. You know, my little one, seeing her just smile and be happy. You know, my favorite right now, my favorite sound in the world is when she takes a shower and she is singing at the top of her lungs. Because I know that is a joy. And I told her daddy last night, I'm like, that is a joy that that child has that I hope and pray that nobody takes away from her.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, the beauty and innocence of children.
I know.
Thank you so much for being here. Seriously, this is a conversation that I just really hope it starts conversations in people's homes. People get outside of their comfort zone and just listen. And so thank you for being here. If my friends who are watching, if you were here for a workout as well, that is posted in my private workout group. It's workout number 19, Body Combat, and it's recorded so you can do it anytime. But this is so important that we really got through everything. So thank you, Hope. So appreciate your voice, your message, what you stand for. I'm with you, girl.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Because I know on your end, it's something that was hard for you to do. I encourage you to invite some more voices. They don't have to be Black. You know what I'm saying? It's great to get more, you know, where is everybody's headspace right now? You know, what are they thinking? Again, everybody has a different journey. Everybody, you know, walks a different life. So getting a bunch of and different opinions and different stories is really how we grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will do that. Thank you, Hope. Your name says it all.
Thank you. Hey.
Claim it.
Best name in the world.
It is.
All right. Every day, all day.
Thank you so much, my friend. Have a great day.
All right. You too, darling.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye, y'all.
Love you.